One of the most damaging things that any human can do is set low standards and then achieve those standards. You can't set average or mediocre as a standard because everyone else around you is blue collar and therefore you're gonna be blue collar and then go, yay, I became blue collar. Like if you have ambitions of being white collar or you have ambitions of being a baller, you have ambitions of being whatever the fuck you wanna be, go for that and surround yourself with people who are that and raise your standards to really high standards. I would rather you set your sights not on the moon, but on the stars, because in the process of shooting for the stars, you will hit the moon, guaranteed. But in the process of shooting for the moon, you might completely miss it and hit nothing.
Go out, try as hard as you can. You're gonna get punched in the face. Take your punch, learn your lesson, move forward again, get punched in the face again, move forward, learn your lesson. That is how this game is played.
You can't lose your nature exactly. You can lose your higher order, integrated, purpose-driven nature. Here's some natures you won't lose. Pain. Anxiety. Like, you can lose your higher nature all you want, and all of the negative elements of your nature will predominate. And you're not going to rationalize yourself out of pain and anxiety.
There is a limit to willpower. I got a lot of willpower too, but there's no limit to pull motivation. Pull motivation is where something that you care about more than yourself, something that's a magnificent obsession, something where you're contributing. It could be your kids, it could be your family, but all that ties to the aim of your values that move you forward.
Because you're sad, now you're gonna make a bunch of bad decisions because you're sad. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You're sad, okay. You get emotional sometimes, okay, got it. Now, get control of your emotions and carry on with your life. And sometimes you're gonna get hit with those waves, and that's okay. Oh, I'm having an emotional moment right now. There's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
A lot of you guys think you're gonna make this plan, it's just gonna go the way you want it to. That's not the game, dude. You have to be mentally tough. You have to be resilient. You have to be able to get up when the world punches you and knocks you the fuck down. That is the game. And you have to then be intelligent enough to learn the lessons that this setback or that, failure, so to speak, is trying to teach you. And if you have the capacity to continue to move forward, if you've built yourself into someone who can handle the punches, who can handle the setbacks, and then also someone who's intelligent enough to learn the lessons that are meant to be learned, you cannot be stopped.
Set yourself some high standards, like raise your expectations. Don't just go, I'm gonna make enough money where I'm set. Wow, really? That's a really selfish statement. I'm gonna make enough money where I'm set. But when your cup overflows because you set high standards and you achieve those high standards, and guess what? You can do more, you can be more, you can help more. And isn't that really the meaning of life, to be in service of others? It absolutely is.
Hope and excitement are wonderful things, but you need competency as well. And in order to have that, the hope can get you started, give you the drive,
Yes.
the vision, the aim, but you've got to have the execution. You have both the strategy. Drive is like, everyone is motivated. It's not just the aim or objective, it's strong enough reasons. The secret is reasons come first, answers come second. Once I know what I want, I got to figure out why, because purpose is stronger than object. So the object may inspire you, but what's going to keep
Yes.
you going is strong enough reasons when it's tough.
Moving forward, set higher standards in your fitness, in your ability to orate, to speak, in your ability to communicate, in your ability to be decisive, in your ability to be a better husband, an ability to be a better father, better friend, better entrepreneur, better leader. Enough with setting low standards and hitting those standards and being proud of yourself. Like, fuck, man, let's get to it.
The first thing to understand is that people see the world through their aim. When you hear the story of someone's life, you actually hear a description of their aim. So now you specify the aim. Now, the first thing that happens perceptually, and you talked about perception, the first thing that happens is that once you specify the aim, the pathway appears. That's how your perceptual systems work.
Yes.
And the reason for that is, well, if you can't see your way to get where you're going, then what good is it to see? You specify the aim, the pathway occurs. Well, that's the precondition for a quest. Okay, now the next thing that happens, so the pathway occurs, the next thing that happens is that sets the frame for emotional experience. Everything that you encounter as an obstacle on that pathway elicits negative emotion. And everything that you encounter that facilitates movement forward
Yes.
evokes positive emotion. One of the corollaries of that is no aim, no positive emotion.
The world belongs to optimists, because if you're going to do anything big, you have to believe that it can happen. Otherwise, it never will. The cynics get to be right, and the optimists get to be rich. 99% right and 100% wrong. They're right 99% of the time, but they're wrong 100% because the only thing that matters is the big one at the end.
People get frustrated not achieving what they want because they assume that they're going to jump across a cavern in one leap. But if you picture your goals like you're trying to build a bridge across that crevice, and every brick that you put on that bridge is progress, and each one of those bricks represents a skill that you need to learn along the way, it just takes all the way until you get to the other side that you can actually walk across. And so the walking across is the outcome, it's the external perceived achievement. But if you can reframe your progress as, what are the 100 things on this checklist? What are the 100 skills that I need, the micro skills that I need? Then you can have much faster feedback cycles of wins that you're achieving along the way. And I think if you can define it that way, then you can feel like you are winning, A, more often, but B, with higher intensity, because as you win, skills stack on top of each other.
You don't want to end up in the landscape of pain, anxiety, and hopelessness. And I actually mean that technically, because what happens when you lose direction, the biological systems that mediate negative emotion signal loss of direction. That's what anxiety is. It's a signal of loss of direction. So if you lose higher order direction, you become anxious. Well, and you can argue with anxiety all you want with your atheistic nihilism, but it isn't going to go away, and neither is your pain.
Self-esteem comes from doing incredibly difficult things where you know you pushed yourself. It's not virtue signaling. It's not telling people about it. It's what you know inside your soul is true. And the more you do things that are incredibly difficult, and especially things that are meaningful, meaning they're not just about yourself, the higher that esteem would be.
Everyone thinks you're crazy until it works. And so, I mean, if you think of the outcome as the trump card, then all of the pain and suffering that you lead up to that point, if you're just that no matter what, you will die or you will get there, then the likelihood that all of the things that you've done up to that point will then be justified in retrospect is super high. You always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. It is a slow clap that's just you rooting for you.
Man, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. It's gonna happen how it's gonna happen. You worrying about it ain't gonna change it, right? It's just gonna make you lose sleep about it, get stressed out about it, but you worrying about it ain't gonna change the situation because you just thinking about it, right? You can't change it. If it's gonna happen and manifest, it's gonna happen and manifest. We cross the bridge when it gets there. But when you worry about something, more times than not, it creates a negative connotation and perspective upon what you're worrying about. The fear of something happening oftentimes is more powerful than it even happening. Oftentimes you're worrying about the fear of something happening, that the fear and the thought becomes more powerful than the actual manifestation of it happening.
You have to be a fool if you doubt the reality of pain and anxiety, pain and terror, let's say. Are they real? It's like, well, they're real enough so you'll act like they're real if they come knocking. So maybe we can satisfy ourselves with that proclamation. And you say, well, are they the ultimate reality, pain and suffering? And I would say, no. The things that transcend pain and suffering are more real than pain and suffering. Well, what transcends suffering? The eternal verities transcend suffering. And the higher order nature of man is the antidote to catastrophic suffering.
We're gonna have wins, we're gonna have losses. We're gonna have successes, we're gonna have failures. We're gonna have good nights, we're gonna have bad nights. We're gonna have good relationships, we're gonna have bad relationships. We're gonna have good ideas and bad ideas. We're gonna make money, we're gonna lose money. All these things are gonna happen. And if you oscillate emotionally up and down drastically, it's gonna be problematic. So finding a good, stable, centered way to be and look at the world and take everything that you see with a little bit of a grain of salt and don't get swayed too drastically in one direction or the other, you're gonna be okay.
You have to work hard. Everybody in this room knows if it's worth something to you, you got to put in the effort. And I always like to say it's the work we put in when nobody's watching that really matters.
Most things are actually significantly easier than people think they are. They just don't know how to try hard. Because the harder that you try, the easier it gets. And so it's like, if you can just learn to love what trying hard feels like, then all of a sudden it becomes unreasonable that you can't win.
There isn't anything better that you can do with failure, no matter how unjust, than to learn from it. And so as a general attitude, how did I go wrong here is a hyper-useful existential stance, right? And it's also a bulwark against hopelessness because, you know, even if it was 95% situational and 5% you, if you adjusted that 5%, maybe that'd be enough so that the next time that situation arises, you'd come out on the positive side of it.
Because a lot of times you go down the road and, you know, there's the phrase, you have to walk by faith and not by sight. A lot of times you walk by faith, not sight nor experience, and you just don't know. So you gotta have that faith. The faith is the thing, for one of the many things that can anchor us and that should anchor us.
As long as you're in your own head, the nature of the mind is reductionism. Good, bad, right, wrong, all those types of things. Of course, life is much more many different hues than that. When you find something you care about, whether it's your kids or whether it's something, your job, your career, whether it's a mission you have, if it's something you want to bring to the world, nonprofit, doesn't matter what it is. If you find something you care about more than you won't be thinking about yourself all the time, and all your bullshit self-esteem shit just goes out the window.
It's all in your mind. Whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you have always believed, you will continue to act as you have always acted. You will continue to get what you have always gotten. If you want different results in your life or your work, all you have to do is change your mind.
Success there's a lot less learned in success. It's like the tip of the iceberg. It's the losses and it's the failures and it's the continuously, just the perseverance that you need to do. Like, I love that image of the iceberg where you see the sea level and the iceberg on the top that everyone sees, but below is what people don't get to see, and it's relevant for every single person out there. It's finding your core, it's letting yourself know it's okay to feel the pain, it's okay to accept that you're failures, and, you know, put it on you. It's like it's just another notch on your belt that is going to make you stronger, and just knowing that that is the case.
If you knew that you were going to succeed, it wouldn't be worth doing to begin with. The fact that you are uncertain when you start is what makes it worthwhile. And the fallacy of being in the pursuit is the worry or the concern that it won't amount to anything, because who you are becoming is the thing that you are amounting to in real time every day.
How do you transcend the eternal realm of suffering, right? How do you escape from hell? It's the same question. How about voluntary self-sacrifice? How about that? Well, why does the spirit of voluntary self-sacrifice protect you against suffering? Well, I need to sacrifice my idiot whims in the moment to serve that element of me that is continuous across time.
Having a clue is overrated. There's this funny myth that people actually know what they're doing. I've spent time around some of the richest, smartest, highest status people on the planet, and let me tell you, it's idiots all the way up. Normalize saying, I don't have a clue, I'm going to work out how to do it anyway. Having a clue is overrated.